So I have been having an absolute ball shooting photos and creating videos with the iPhone 12 Pro. It is my favorite camera to use right now. And that's no knock on my big DSLR, but the convenience to quality ratio that comes out of the iPhone is consistently mind-blowing, the results that you can get, especially if you're a beginner just taking your first photos or creating your first home movies. The iPhone's awesome. And that's what I wanted to discuss today, because to open up the camera app, snap some photos, shoot a video, it's great. For that, the results are impeccable. But there are a couple lesser known and even hidden features that, if you implement them in your content creation, will help take your iPhone photos and videos from good to amazing. Let's talk all about it. What's going on, everybody? My name's Bobby Kowecki, and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. I do cool videos like this each and every week, all about photography tutorials, video tutorials, online content creation goodness. So if you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, the bell icon, all that good YouTube stuff, so you never miss out on another video. All right, so we're in the native iPhone camera app. We are ready to create, right? But first, we have to make sure our settings are correct, right? We want to make sure we are using the absolute best settings for the type of content that we're looking to create, both video and photo. So we're gonna start with video because photo's not quite ready yet. I'll explain in a second. If you are shooting video, if you're shooting a vlog, if you are shooting other things and you wanna film just regular talking head stuff like this, you're gonna be wanting to shoot in 24 frames a second. That is the most cinematic frame rate. That's the frame rate you see when you go in the movies. It gives you this nice little motion blur kind of stuff. 24 frames a second. The cool thing is you can manipulate your frame rate right from the iPhone camera app. So if you go into that camera app and you look in the corner there, you can change both your resolution, I shoot in 4K, as well as your frame rate. For regular sort of talking head type stuff, 24 frames is where you'd like to be. If you'd like to be in slow motion, yes, you can do slow motion within the iPhone camera app itself. You slide on over to slow motion, but you can also set your recording to 60 frames a second in 4K, and you'll be good to go. Chop it in half in post-production, and you've got some slow motion. So that is going to be your frame rate for if you're creating videos. Well, what about photos? Now, I had mentioned it in a previous video that if you're shooting photos, you should be shooting raw photos. Now, unfortunately, iPhone doesn't shoot raw photos just yet, right? It's coming. The camera raw, it's coming. When's it coming, Apple? Let me know. Call me. But when Apple does release the camera raw, that is what you should be shooting in. Why? Because that's going to give you the most information when you're post-producing your photos, when you're editing them. Shooting in raw is going to give you the most information within the photo to maintain the integrity of the image. So you should be shooting ideally in 24 frames a second for regular sort of video and in RAW for your photos. So we've got that established. The next thing we are going to want to do within the iPhone, now that we've got the frame rate established, is we're going to want to establish the composition of the scene. Now, a really fun and easy way to do this that is not turned on by default, but you can turn on yourself, is enabling your rule of thirds lines. Now, what is that? Well, the rule of thirds is like a tic-tac-toe board that goes across the screen that helps you compose pleasing images to the eye. Quick rundown of the rule of thirds. Essentially what you want to do, you want to keep all the action of your photo where you want the viewer's eyes to be, videos as well, within the points that intersect, wherever the points intersect. Now you're probably saying, hey, you're not using rule of thirds right now? Well, kinda. If you see, I'm a little offset from the rest of my screen here, so yeah. Thought you'd get me. But I digress. The rule of thirds is going to help you compose better photos. So you're not sort of loosey-goosey, just it's going to make you slow down and consider the angles that you are creating at, both in photos and videos. So rule of thirds, very important, basic photography principle that you should be implementing in all the content that you create. All right, so we've got our frame rate, we've got our rule of thirds, we've got our composition. Now, the next thing we're gonna turn on that is within our settings is we want to make sure that Smart HDR on the iPhone is turned on. Now, what is Smart HDR? Smart HDR is what gives the iPhone that magic sauceness. It's what is going to give you those really rich and deep shadows while also maintaining those crisp, bright highlights. Make sure your Smart HDR, if you have the iPhone 12 Pro, is turned on, because that will really set your photos apart. You don't believe me? Take a photo with it off and take a photo with it on. I'll wait. You see what I mean? Smart HDR makes all the difference when taking photos, when now creating videos as well. So we've got our frame rate, we've got our composition, we've got the color science locked in. Well, now we gotta actually start taking the photos, right? All right, so we've got our frame rate locked in, we've got our composition ready to go, we've dialed in our color science. Well, now we're ready to create, right? And that's where these next two features come in, which are going to be focus lock and exposure adjustment. And this is really cool. So what you're gonna wanna do is, when you're really more for creating videos, you're gonna wanna lock your focus, right? It will help draw the eye, it will help maintain what is going on in the scene, right? So if you lock your focus on a specific subject, you don't have to worry about that. You are telling the camera, this is what we are focusing on, right? And you're not gonna have to worry about it hunting from autofocus. If you're doing a talking head shot like this, right? And you're just doing like a medium shot, you want the focus to stay on the person's face, right? You don't want anything walking in the background and the iPhone to start hunting for focus. So making sure that your focus is locked when creating video will definitely set it apart. And it'll make your life a little bit easier too. Coupling that with exposure adjustment, which is awesome, because now in video, when you've got your focus locked in, you can then go in and manually adjust your exposure, which is going to be the same thing, right? You're not going to have to worry the scene overexposing itself. If you turn your camera, if you're doing a scene with a lot of movement or anything like that, the focus will be maintained as well as the exposure. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if your camera consistently is changing exposures one way or the other to account, you don't see that in movies, really, right? It's usually one sort of lighting tone throughout the entire scene, right? So, lock your exposure, lock your focus. It'll make a difference. Trust me, try it. All right, so you have got a tip for your frame rate and photo format. You've got a tip for your composition, a tip for your color science, a tip for your focus and exposure. Well, what else is there to do but start creating? And at this point, you pretty much could start doing that. But if you really want to take your iPhone to the next level, there's a couple things, actually a lot of things, that could help you do that. And that's going to be accessories. And this is a pretty broad stroke category. But obviously what you're going to want to have is hold on. You want a tripod that's gonna be great for filming time lapses, long exposures, stuff like that. It's gonna keep your phone steady. It's gonna be great for if you're vlogging. You can hold it out like that. Pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon. It's not a Joby, but it's still bendy. It's all great. And then there are a lot of third-party accessories as well that really add to the overall experience of the phone. Moment and Sandmark make great additional lenses to the phone that just snap into the case. They've also got these really cool MagSafe sort of cases now that just pop on. Awesome. Adding lights to it, adding an external microphone, all of these things will help your content creation in different ways from outside companies, right? There's Polar Pro. Polar Pro now makes their ND filters in a case for your phone. So if you have all your settings dialed in, you can dial them in even further by using an ND filter, a polarizer, whatever works best for you. There are so many companies catering to iPhone content creation. Now, little asterisk caveat. Most of these companies, Moment especially, love Moment, love the guys over there. Unfortunately, what I've noticed is with their third-party apps, give you more control. They help you dial in the shutter speed, all that kind of stuff. Great, awesome. Cool. But what you lose with an app like the Moment Pro camera or Filmic Pro is the iPhone HDR. I don't know what it is. I've done A/B tests before, but there's just something when you're shooting in the native camera app that is lost in translation when you're shooting in a third-party app. Maybe it's just me. Go ahead, try it for yourself. Third-party accessories, awesome. If you're using the native camera app. You want to use a professional video app as well? Cool. Love Filmic Pro. Love the Moment camera app. I'm actually liking the Moment camera app in terms of feature set a little bit more than Filmic Pro. But I think if you're just starting out, the native camera app is fully feature rich enough at this point where you'll be good to go. All right, so there you go. 5 quick tips in order to help you take your camera iPhone game to the next level. But let me know what you think below. Are you going to use any of this? Did I miss anything? Are there any fun iPhone accessories that I didn't talk about here? Whatever it is, let me know down below. And until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll talk again real soon.